Hey everyone, I'm Trevor, and we're not at Disneyland today, obviously, but we are going to talk about Disneyland. We are going to share some one-star reviews, and I'm going to react to them and respond to them. So, let's get going. The idea for this video came about because I was at Disneyland earlier this week and just did not get enough footage for my usual 3 videos a week. The construction update was far more in-depth. Took me about 3 hours to film, and usually they don't take that long, so I just didn't have enough time to get everything done. And I went to you guys, the community, on our YouTube community posts, and you told me that you wanted to see this video. It's an idea I've been kicking around for a while, and what we are going to do is turn to Yelp, and we are going to look at some one-star reviews of Disneyland, and we're going to see what people have to say. And so I want to debunk some of these, I guess. Might be the right word for it. We are going to be on Yelp. You'll see that here on your screen. First up, we're just in one-star reviews on Yelp, and I have it sorted to the newest first. So these are going to be the newest reviews. Yelp did give me a notice that they have been monitoring reviews because of current events, and so Yelp, you'll notice here that the first review is actually July 24th. There's nothing since then, even though that was about a week ago. So anyhow, let's take a look here. It says, customer services are horrendous. There is no magic there. Most all of their employees need to be retrained in customer service, and the hiring process needs to be changed into not just hiring anyone. Have actually hiring guidelines like they used to. This company, this theme park, has gone into the dumpster. No matter how much money they put into it, the soul of it is gone. Our family will not be renewing. Oh, they must be pass holders. Oh, and not to mention the most important part, we got treated like pure garbage during my child's DAS renewal. Family of 7 Inspire Magic-Key passes won't be renewing. So, yeah, this is actually echoing the sentiment of a lot of different pass holders. We've got a couple of different issues here. First off, the magic is gone. That's like a repeat thing that keeps coming up. Not only that, but she mentioned the DAS. So they have tightened their restrictions where it comes to DAS. What is DAS? Disability Access Service. Disability Access Service. DAS. This is their pass that once upon a time was for people who could not wait in line in order to basically skip the line. It essentially was a free Genie Plus is what it amounted to, but it also worked on rides that did not have lightning lanes. So we're talking about Peter Pan being the most popular ride that people would use DAS for. And now they've made it difficult, so it's not just anybody who can't wait in line. People with IBS and things like that used to qualify, and I believe that now they don't. I don't know a whole lot of the details about who does and does not qualify now. I know that the original intention of the DAS pass was more for like children with autism who cannot physically wait in line, like they would have a pure full-on meltdown in line, things like that. I'm not going to comment too much on it, again, because I'm not aware of 100% everything that's going on with the issue, but I do know that they have tightened up a lot of their restrictions, so fewer people are qualifying for DAS than they used to. What is Disney doing about this? What is their solution? Well, they're pushing people to purchase Genie Plus, or now that it's called Lightning Lane Multipass, they're pushing people to purchase that more. And now they're just basically making people pay for it. Additionally, the other thing that they're telling people to do is send your party through the line, and then when you get close, call the person who had to sit out because they can't stand in line to come join you. So like with Peter Pan, there is a point right towards when you start going up the ramp towards the actual entrance of the attraction, when you get through about 90% of the queue, where there is pretty easy access, and a lot of the rides actually have pretty easy access points like this, right towards the boarding area of the attraction. Even a ride like Indiana Jones, which has a huge, massive queue, does have a meetup point, and that's what Disney is advising people to do now. Like, send your group of 6 through the line and then have them call you when they're getting close so that the person who can't wait in line needs to go join them that way. That's what they're telling you to do if you don't qualify for DAS. So I do understand this person's frustration over the DAS situation. We're spending way too long on this issue. We're gonna move on. Overpriced cash grab with horrible customer service. Prices continue to go up as quality goes down. It's pay to enter, then pay to play with Genie Plus, ruining the experience for average guests. Had passes for years, but with reservation system and addition of Genie Plus with the constant price hikes, including parking, it is just no longer worth it. Unfortunately, I have to agree with this person. I mean, there's nothing that I can say that this person's wrong on. It is pay to play, and all Disney cares about now is the bottom line. Ever since COVID, I mean, even before that, really, I would say ever since like 2018, prices just keep going up for everything. Prices just went up for food again, like a week or two ago, and yes, prices are going to keep going up. That's the bottom line. And I mean, it's been doing this for years, though. Every year prices go up. It's what happens. You get people that complain. I mean, what can I do? I'm going to enjoy Disneyland, right? There's only so much complaining about the prices that you can do, because it's something that happens every year. Selma E. Roseville, California says, terrible Cars Land experience! All caps, terrible! My family and I were visiting Disneyland in California Adventure, I'm assuming that's what, and CA. I've never heard of anybody calling DCA just CA. Disneyland and California is how I would read that. But I think they mean Disneyland and California Adventure. Anyway, visiting Disneyland and California Adventure, which is normally such a great time, this time was not that. While we were waiting for our turn on the Incredicoaster, the ride stopped working. Yep. Yeah. That happens! The ride stopped working, which led us to get a universal lightning lane to use. Oh, well, okay, what's wrong with that? We decided to go to Cars Land, where we were treated by the rudest cast member. I know where this is going. Okay, multi-experience passes, MEPs, are not created equal. Okay, I'm sorry, but you cannot use the Incredicoaster multi-pass. You cannot use it on Radiator Springs Racers. Yeah, that ride costs money, okay? Costs money. And you got the MEP for free. The only ride that gives you an MEP that you can ride at Radiator Springs Racers is Radiator Springs Racers. Or Rise of the Resistance. They're both on equal tier because they're both single pass, Lightning Lane single passes. So if the ride breaks down while you're riding them, they will award you with, now this is if you were physically on the ride and you have to be evacuated from the ride, or you bought the Lightning Lane already and then the ride closes down and they are going to evacuate the area. I don't believe they issue MEPs if they don't evacuate the line. So it has to be bad enough for them to evacuate the line. Point being, the only rides that issue MEPs that are useful on Radiator Springs Racers are going to be those two. Incredicoaster is not one of them, so I know where this is going. Caitlin at the Lightning Lane line for Radiator Springs Racers around 7-ish p.m. on July 8th, as if that matters, was so rude when we tried to use the Universal Lightning Lane. She rudely stopped us. I doubt that. Rudely stopped us and talked down to us when we asked why we couldn't use the pass. I doubt that as well. Instead of kindly letting us know that we were allowed and unallowed rides, she snatched my phone and clicked that area for me. She then proceeded to say the RSR is a separate area of Disney and they do not participate in the Lightning Lanes, which is false, they say in parentheses. It is just a separate purchase. Well, yeah, it's not on multi-pass, which means you just probably weren't listening. After that encounter, some of us decided to go into the single rider line instead, and she rudely stopped us again, saying, "Where do you think you guys are going?" We were so uncomfortable that we left the ride and didn't return. This was such an unexpected interaction with a Disney cast member, such a bad experience for my family and I. That last bit, you know, everyone always paints reviews to make themselves sound better. And speaking from experience, when you are having a bad day, or, you know, you're hungry or whatever, you're hangry, you tend to think that you're completely in the right and everybody else is in the wrong. When you cool down a bit, I feel like you come to your senses, but not everybody. They could have gone in the single rider line if they wanted to, but I think with the cast, if the cast member did stop them, they were probably worried about them going down the single rider line and then crossing over, because, I mean, that happens more times than I would like to admit as well. Please don't get any ideas if you're watching this video. What do I mean by crossing over? Disneyland only has one lightning lane checkpoint. If you are Walt Disney World veterans, or if you've been there before, you know that their lightning lanes often have two checkpoints, one at the entrance of the lightning lane and one right before the cast member, where they do the split and the merge back with the standby. And they'll make you scan it again in front of that cast member to prove you actually have the lightning lane. And Disneyland does not do that. So I have witnessed before where people will go in the standby line or the single rider line, and then they'll cross over the rope in the middle of the ride and switch into the lightning lane and cheat that way. Again, please don't get the idea to do this, but Radiator Springs Racers is notorious for this because the line is super long, and the standby, the wait time is long, but I mean, like, the physical line itself is very long and windy, and there are no cast members monitoring like 90% of the line. So it happens there. And she was probably just worried that they were going to try to do that, if indeed she stopped them. Yeah. Anyway, that was interesting. That was actually probably the first, like, real fun one that wasn't about some hot button topic issue. So let's find some more of these. Autumn W says, prevent people from cutting the lines. It happened on every single ride and no one did anything to prevent it. Waiting in lines that were up to 80 minutes long and then seeing people blatantly cutting the line. I very much disliked Disneyland. I'll never go back, nor would I recommend it to anyone. The lines barely moved a few steps every 10 minutes. Also, the merchandise was very much overpriced. Walt Disney would be rolling over in his grave. Oh, the favorite mantra of complainers. Walt would be rolling over in his grave. To see how awful and commercialized his dream has become. Don't waste your time or your money. It could be better spent on family activities elsewhere. My kids had a terrible time. Yeah, I doubt your kids had a terrible time. If they had a terrible time, it was because you were a grouch and a grump the whole time. Do you know what the number one reason why you have a bad time at Disneyland? Look in the mirror. Yep. Being grouchy and grumpy is the number one reason you had a bad time at Disneyland. It's the number one reason why your family had a bad time at Disneyland. If you watch my tip videos, I have a couple of videos. A video that was like the things that you need to bring to Disneyland. I might have done that. And one of them was bring your patience. I don't remember if that was the exact topic title of the video. I do so many different tips videos. It was one of the tips videos. But I said bring your patience, because you're going to be waiting in line, and I mean, it's just a fact of life. And if you are grumpy, you will ruin the experience for yourself. You will ruin the experience for everyone around you. You will ruin the experience for your family. Grumpiness is the number one reason that you had a bad time. If you just go in approaching Disneyland like, you know, yeah, it's going to be busy, but I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to enjoy being here. I'm going to enjoy my Mickey bar. I'm going to enjoy the ambiance and the music. And you know what? Yeah, some of the lines are really long. And yeah, I mean, sometimes I don't like them either. I'm a huge proponent of Disneyland fixing the way that they treat Lightning Lane, because the Lightning Lane, and I mean, I say this all the time, but this complaint that I have about Lightning Lane is one of the biggest selling points for buying Lightning Lane. And that is, I think, well, this person didn't say it, but it was a previous one. Disney really does treat the guest who does not purchase Lightning Lane like trash. They do. Not on every ride, but on a good chunk of rides, Disney will flat out ignore the standby line and only take lightning lanes. The biggest situation of this happened in Indiana Jones once. And I kid you not, we started a timer, and I've said this before on the channel. We started a timer. This is how bad it got. Started a timer, and the standby line did not get one single person taken from it for 15 minutes. 15 minutes and not one standby person. They just kept taking lightning lane and lightning lanes and lightning lanes and lightning lanes, and the person was basically waiting for the lightning lane to be empty before they took a standby person. And I felt I felt like Disney did not care for me as a guest in that moment. I did. I thought about going and complaining. I'm not an angry person. I'm really not. I'm generally a pretty happy, easygoing person. I was this close to complaining at guest services on the way out. But by the time we were done with our day there, the anger had left me. I'd cooled off, and I just no longer felt like it was worth it. I'm happy to tell you guys on YouTube, plenty often enough. I still feel like they should do an even 50-50 split. That's the way it used to be with FastPass. People out there will say to me, well, Trevor, I paid money for this Lightning Lane multi-pass. So of course I should be treated like royalty. I paid and you didn't. Yeah, well, the bottom line is the Lightning Lane is shorter, okay? Like, pretty much for all the rides. Indiana Jones especially, Buzz Lightyear. The Lightning Lane is shorter. We're talking like 25% the size. If the standby line is just generalizing here, but if the standby line's 100 feet, the Lightning Lane is 25 feet. So even if both are completely full, you're already waiting 25% less than I am in the standby line. And for Disney to take 90%, 95% from the Lightning Lane and like only take 1 or 2 guests from the standby every like 2 or 3 minutes, it's ridiculous. It is. The standby lines hardly move. And it's because they don't evenly split. They don't have to, it doesn't have to be even. I get it. All right. It doesn't. But at least take some standby line people every now and again. Some cast members do this really well. I find that it's mostly up to the cast member. Some cast members, they do a really nice split. They're considerate of the standby line. And then other cast members will just flat out ignore standby. In fact, I was in a line where the standby line was not moving. And I was so close to the split that I could see what was going on. And another cast member had to come up and say, you need to start taking some standby people. Like, that's how bad it got. Another cast member had to chastise the person in charge of the split because they were ignoring the standby line so much. Bravo to that cast member for speaking up and telling them it's a problem. Moving on. Fran W. from Pittsburgh. Oh, finally, not somebody from California. Fran W. from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania says this. Since when is there room in Disney only if you purchase a park hopper pass for additional fee? What? That makes no grammatical sense. I was unable to purchase tickets for the day I wanted unless I got... Oh, okay. Unless I got the park hopper pass. My other favorite soapbox, the reservation system. Don't you miss the days when you could just go to Disneyland and not worry about it? I do. I'm sure the locals miss it more. The locals who would just decide to go on a whim in at 6 o'clock at night. Hey, I want to go into the park and grab myself a churro and walk around and listen to music. Maybe ride one ride because, I just want to be there. Disney says, no! You have to pre-plan when you're coming. No spur of the moments. No joyful trips just because you feel like it. No, you have to know 6 weeks in advance. Well, I have to know 6 weeks in advance. I think what is like 3 months. I think you get 3 months. But I have 6 reservations and I go up once a week. So 6 weeks in advance is the best that I can do. But yeah, to be fair, there's availability, pretty much wide open availability for Magic Key holders during the week. But to speak to this person and what they're saying, the one park per day guests have a certain allotted amount of reservations, and the park hopper guests have a certain allotted amount of reservations. And so they could run out of one park per day guest tickets or single day tickets, and they would not run out of multi-day tickets. So they'd basically make you upgrade either to a park hopper or to a multi-day. So I get what they're saying. The reservation system is annoying. I also blame the reservation system for why the parks feel a bit more crowded than they used to be. Don't get me wrong, before COVID, the parks still got busy, but I feel like they were more heavily weighted towards busier times of the year, and now everything is spread out. Tiered pricing has a lot to do with that as well. But reservations have a lot to do with that. What happens is someone makes a reservation, and you may not know this, but if you are a Magic Key holder and you do not show up on a reservation day, you get dinged. You get a ding on your record. It's like, on your driver's license. You get a ding on your record. No show 3 times, and Disney makes it so that you can't come to the park for a month. Yeah, how about that? Disney blocks you from using something that you paid for because you didn't show up when you told them you were going to. Because it messes with Disney's planning for the day. They didn't used to have reservations. They just had to hire people and pay for the cast members to be there anyway. And Disney doesn't want to pay any more cast members than they have to. I don't know. I hate the reservation system. People are so much more intentional about going to Disneyland now because of the reservation system. They made a reservation, so they have to go. Again, the whim, the going to Disney on a whim because I feel like it is gone. So people make reservations and now they show up. I mean, I think that's why Disney has the reservation system more than anything. Because more people show up. More people that show up, they spend money on food and they spend money on merchandise. That's where Disney makes all their money, is food and merchandise. Ticket prices probably are a very small fraction of their actual sales. You expect a 66-and-a-half-year-old, we're back to the review. You expect a 66-and-a-half-year-old to leave 2 9-year-olds in line alone? This person's really weird with their comments. They need to explain up front. There are approximately 200 children taken from Disney every year and never found. I am in a wheelchair and cannot ride most rides, although I have no problem paying full-price tickets. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you have no problem paying full-price tickets. You have to make sure that you mention that in the review. And waiting in long lines with my wheelchair to enable my godchildren to have the Disney experience. However, the stress it caused the 3 of us with having to let them wait in line alone. Why do they have to wait in line alone? Why are you not waiting in line with them? It completely ruined our experience. I had 2 little girls crying at every line. They were crying at every line? Why? How fun is that? Unacceptable, Disney. Unacceptable! That's what they say, all caps. I have to read all caps in a shouting voice because that's what you're doing, right? No child should be left in a line alone if they are not comfortable and afraid. Why are they alone? I thought you were there with them. Plenty of people go to Disneyland in wheelchairs. Are you saying because you're in a wheelchair you couldn't go in the line? Oh, that's what they're saying next. My girls were too afraid to wait in line alone, and since I am in a wheelchair, I could not wait with them. Since when? Since when could you not wait with them if you're in a wheelchair? I mean, I've seen plenty of people in wheelchairs in line. Plenty of people in line. Maybe they're talking about the Fantasyland rides. A lot of the Fantasyland rides have really, really tight queues. And so, but I mean, they do have workarounds for that. Hello from the future. I didn't want to set my lighting up, so sorry for the difference here. But I wanted to read something for you about this. I actually found some more information, first-hand evidence of somebody's experience with a wheelchair at Disneyland. This person's trip report is on Reddit, and it says, the cast members on the rides were wonderful with the wheelchair. For every ride, a cast member in the beginning would clearly tell us what needed to happen and kindly ask our wheelchair user if she could stand or walk for a short amount of time. In many cases, we entered through the exit, which could get a little hairy when large groups were exiting and not expecting to see anyone coming the other way. The only time this was difficult was Indy because it's all uphill if you're going the opposite way. We eventually learned that if we were passing the exit to the ride first, just to ask the cast members standing there if we should enter through the exit, it saved us time spent asking at the entrance and getting sent to the exit anyway. In 2 cases, we got return times, Pirates and Jungle Cruise, which behaved the same way as Lightning Lanes and were super easy to use. In general, whether we entered through the exit or waited in line, we would be directed to a designated area near the loading zone of the ride. Usually, we would be boarded pretty quickly after a short wait in that area. We never felt rushed getting into or out of the ride vehicles, and in every case, our wheelchair was either right where we left it or, with owner's permission, moved to a more accessible spot after the ride. Our favorite accommodation ended up being Hyperspace Mountain because you get in a special rocket that moves itself onto the track. The kids loved it. The monorail has a ramp that cast members set up for access. When we boarded from downtown Disney, there was a specific line to wait in for wheelchairs. The train has a rear car with wheelchair access but can only accommodate one wheelchair, so you have to wait for the next train if it's already taken. There's no wheelchair access for the train on Main Street. Brock O from Palo Alto says, there is no point of visiting. No amount of money will get you more than a couple of rides in this place in a day. Spent about $1,000 for a family of 3 so far, and it is impossible to get to any of the rides, even with Fast Lane. It is great if you want to spend money to walk around endlessly, though. I guess they're not watching my videos. Because I ride tons of rides in a single day. And I teach you guys how to do it too. In fact, we met some folks the other day on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, first time at Disneyland, visiting from Mexico, and they told me that they had ridden 16 rides that day, thanks in part to a lot of the tips that I shared. We happened to have ridden, our family had ridden 21. That was the day that we did the new Lightning Lane test. And that was a busy day. That was like a slam-packed, busy day. And my family was able to get 21 rides in. Not all on Lightning Lane. I think like 12 or 13 of them, maybe 12, 11 or 12 of them were on Lightning Lane. The other ones were standby. We did a mix of both that day. The most that I've ever ridden in a single day was, I think, 27. There's 34 rides at Disneyland if they're all open, and I tried to do all of them in a single day once. Granted, I would never recommend doing that to any of you. You can watch my video about that, where we tried to do every single ride at Disneyland in a single day. And we drove ourselves ragged. We were rushing. We were pushing. I mean, if you were a guest, you would not have enjoyed what we did at all. We found it fun, like the challenge of trying to get it all done. We failed, ultimately came about 3 rides short. 4 of them were closed, I think. Came about 3 rides short. But we also left at 8:30. We tapped out long before midnight. The park was open to midnight. My son was just exhausted, and I called it a day. I've heard people complain about this. They go, and they're like, we only rode 3 rides all day long. How? How did you go to Disneyland and only ride 3 rides in a single day? No ride line is a 4-hour wait. I'm sorry. No ride line is that long. Longest I've ever seen Rise of the Resistance is 130 minutes. 135 minutes. Might have been the highest I've personally ever witnessed in the park. 2 hours and 15 minutes. If that was if you waited in that line, you're not watching my videos either, because I would never suggest you get in line then. I tell you exactly when to get in the line for the least amount of wait. 9 a.m., 7 p.m. Those are the 2 best times to ride Rise of the Resistance. Period. They're changing, Stardust N says they're changing all the rides from the classic. Maybe just add new. I can't stand the Star Wars section. Leave Disneyland to the classics and maybe update and go down the list or rides you never engineered for the older movies. Stating to feel like Universal Studios. I get that Disney bought everything, but Disney is hardly Disney anymore. Splash Mountain and the Haunted Mansion were the final straw. Johnny Depp's face already disgraced the pirate ship, and all of the PC changes are ridiculous. 2 more things. Replacing the cool animatronics with garbage screens? What animatronics got replaced with screens? There were so many screens in Alice in Wonderland? Screens? Okay, they have the screen at the very beginning where the White Rabbit goes running over the hill. Screens? That's the only screen in the entire ride! What other screens are there in Alice in Wonderland? Moving on, Ryan R. from Huntington Beach, California says, if you want to spend hundreds of dollars to wait in line for rides that break down before you can get on, this is the place to go, especially Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. Yeah, we're back to that issue, maintenance. Maintenance. I prefer the lines at the DMV to here. That was a good one. That's a good one. Jenny L. 905, Rise of the Resistance. How can the park open yet this ride is not? We came early, waited in the parking structure until they opened at 7 a.m., waited for rope drop at 8 a.m. by Jolly Holiday. Now waiting for this ride to open for over an hour now. This is why I tell you people not to rope drop the attraction. Okay? It frequently has a delayed opening. Yeah, moving on. I'm not going to read the rest of that review. Jason Z says, spent over $1,000 for 3 days. What's supposed to be a magical experience, but yet nothing was magical about it. Frustrated. Kids about long lines. What? Kids about, I'm just going to read it the way they have it written. Kids about long lines that were averaging way longer than what they were saying. The fast passes is useless. You still have to wait a very long time. Do not waste. This person needs to learn to use a period. I do not waste your time with Genie Plus. Do not waste your time with Genie Plus. You're better off going to a water park. Get away from town. The beach was funner than Disneyland. I haven't been here in over 18 years. Figured I'd give my children a chance to experience what I did when I was a child. When it came down to making reservations, they were already packed. My children could not experience Disneyland, only California Adventure, and the days that we did have Disneyland, they closed early due to ticketed events. It was a waste of time. I wish I did more research. That's the key right there. I wish I did more research. Don't you just love 1-star reviews? They closed early due to a ticketed event. It was a waste of time. I wish I did more research. Yeah. Bottom line right there. This review is for the 4,636 helpline, Jamie, and 4636 help, I don't know what this means, and Hungry Bear Restaurant. Number 1, phone loop is broken and may kick you back out to the main menu if you make a dead-end choice. Number 2, good luck if you land on the Genie Plus pre-recording. Oh, they're on the phone again. Okay, number 4. Hungry Bear Restaurant is gross. At least dry the tray before using it to serve food. It's wet, not dirty. It's because they washed it. Be happy you got a tray. That's all I'm gonna say. Do you feel like I'm a little angsty in this video? I think this is fun. This is fun. I get to be angsty. Ha ha ha! If you enjoy this, I know this is probably, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I don't know how many of these we're going to read on the camera. Probably going to edit out a whole bunch of stuff. But if you enjoyed this, let me know. We'll do Disney California Adventure next time. I think this is about everything. Maybe they have DCA. Maybe they have a separate one for DCA. I don't know. I guess some of the stuff is about DCA. Maybe we'll talk about SeaWorld. That'd be fun. Do some other theme parks. Disney World. Maybe do each of the 4 theme parks in Disney World. You gotta let me know. Okay, I need you guys to tell me if you enjoy this thing. Tell me if you're enjoying this. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments that you love this and you want to see more. I've never done this before. First time. First time for everything. And it's fun. I think it's fun. Logan C says, this happened several months ago, but I can't seem to let it go. You can't seem to let it go? That's your first problem. Why are you so bent out of shape about something at Disneyland that it's months later and you can't let it go? There are bigger problems in life. Bigger problems. But I can't seem to let it go, so I'm writing it out for all the world. All right. All right. Wonderful place. My wife loved it. I've been to this Disneyland in Anaheim and Disney World. This Disneyland. Why would you phrase it like that? Okay. I am never going back to Anaheim Disney. All because of my very first interaction and experience with your welcoming staff at security. Oh boy. Here we go. The people at security's job is to keep you safe. Okay? I would rather them be thorough than let somebody with a gun into the park. Do you agree with me? Let's see what they have to say. They tried to argue that my small pocket knife was illegal. You're trying to take a weapon into the theme park? That they would have to confiscate it and call the cops. I offered to just leave and take it back to my hotel. They said no. And then they called the cops. The cop immediately dismissed it and let me and my wife on my way. But trying to steal customers' property and that type of hostility towards your guests isn't just rude, it's illegal. If you're trying to take a knife into Disney, okay, first off, for them to call the cops, like, this is what happens at security, okay? They open up your bag, they look through. They find something that's not allowed, they're going to pull it out, and they're going to tell you, you can either take this back to your car, or I can throw it away. That's the option that they give you. So for this person to say that they called the cops and wouldn't let them go back to their room, it tells me that this person, even though they're not sharing it, tried to sneakily get this by. Or they tried to lie about something, or they tried to cover it up. I mean, there is no reason for security to escalate this unless, over something like a pocket knife. Okay, if you tried to take a gun, they're probably going to immediately confiscate it. I mean, no one's going to be dumb enough to bring a gun in their bag. Pocket knives get forgotten, okay? Lots of people forget to take pocket knives. I mean, I actually once had an X-Acto razor blade in a backpack because I was an art major in school. I had an X-Acto razor blade in my backpack, and I went to go home on the airplane. I forgot that the X-Acto razor blade was in my backpack. It happens, okay? You forget. They're not gonna call the SWAT team on you over something like that. Mace, that's another one. The little spray cans, the little self-defense spray cans of mace that you can have on the keychain. A lot of people forget those. Amy's had one of those on her bag before and forgotten it was there. Went to Disney and they said you can't have this. Had to go back to the car. They didn't call the cops on her. Fun. Fun, fun, fun. Eliza, I wish I could give it 0 stars. And this is solely for one singular woman at the front of the pier. You are a vile and baleful lady, and I wish you nothing but discontent for the rest of your days. This person's about to, throw some unholy water on somebody or something. I don't know. I feel like she's about to let loose the curse from Once Upon a Time that turns the entire area into Storybook or whatever it's called. I need to rewatch that show. I love that show. I've watched Once Upon a Time on ABC 3 times from season 1 to season 6. We like to ignore that season 7 exists. Yeah. In this house, season 7 does not exist. But seasons 1 through 6 were a masterpiece. Absolutely love that show. Need to rewatch it. But it's like Regina's casting her curse. That's what this person is doing. I wish you nothing but discontent. I had a wondrous day with my 2 friends. We'd flown all the way out here from New York City, and we were so excited to go to California Adventure after our dinner had gone a bit late, and unannounced to us, it was a grad night. Oh, we're back to people who don't know how to research. Look, bottom line, folks, if you come to Disneyland with absolutely no preparation, you're going to be disappointed, okay? Bottom line. You need to actually have a little bit of an understanding of, the fact that after-hours events exist. Oogie Boogie's coming up, folks. Disney California Adventure closes at 6 p.m. Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I mean, not all of them, but a good chunk. 95% of the Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from August 25th to October 31st, Disney California Adventure will be closing at 6 p.m. Okay? Just be aware of it. Mark G. from Woodland Hills, Los Angeles, California says, amazing place to get ignored by Ray. What a way to open your review. There I was, waiting in line, and people would step in front of me and take a picture. I still stood there asking, and she would just keep going to other people. It's like, dude, that's straight up racist, brah. I know you saw me waiting there, Ray. Your line was empty. Generally had a much worse experience this time. I feel like Ray is a free-roaming character, so she has no line. So if you didn't just go up there and butt in, if there was a line, there would be a cast member manning the line. And if there's a cast member manning the line, they're not going to let other guests butt in. So what you found was a free-roaming character. And it means you let those other people butt in. It's your own fault, bruh. I don't talk like that. I was just repeating what he said. Adrian G from Phoenix, Arizona says, Carl was very rude. Kicked us out if line. To talk to customer service says we cut the line, even though we were last. And then they have a picture here. Carl kicking people out for no reason. They were probably standing somewhere they shouldn't be. Carl looks like a very nice man, and I'm sure Carl was only doing what he was told. I'm sorry, Carl. I'm sorry on behalf of Adrian G. And we're going to call it for this video. I can't find any more that are really all that interesting. People just keep harping on about prices. If you enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments. Maybe we'll do it again in a couple of months whenever there are some more one-star reviews for us to laugh at and make fun of. If you want to keep watching my videos, click either of these two videos on either side of me here. I know I don't usually do that, but that's what we're doing. 2 videos, you get 2 choices, double the choices. And yeah, we'll see you again next time.